Let's look at this roster that the Baltimore Ravens have because I've seen so many things on Eric DeCosta. He's not giving us the right roster. He's not drafting well. He's not signing the right players. He's too cheap. Steve Bisciotti's not trying to win. All these different things I've seen. Joshua, let's talk about the one question that is behind all of it. Has Eric DeCosta built a roster where currently it can win the Super Bowl?
Honest answer or Ravens fan answer?
Honest answer. Honest answer.
Honest answer, defensively wise, yes. Um, it's a yes. It's a yes and no. So, offensively or defensively wise, yes, defense wins championships. We obviously see what we're trying to build. Um, Everybody's predicting the Eagles. I'm predicting the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. When I look at that offense and Jalen Hurts, do I feel like this Ravens defense could take them? I absolutely do. Yes, they have AJ Brown. We have Marlon Humphrey, a physical wide receiver, a physical corner. Is it going to be a dogfight all night? Hell yeah, but I'll take it. Devontae Smith, maybe one of the speediest and shift. Yeah, I'll argue with anybody. I feel like he's another shifty type of wide receiver. Um, am I putting Marcus Peters on him? Unfortunately, I have to. We're over the top help. It is what it is. Um, I know they got another. I know they got another speedster.
Quez
Um,
Watkins.
I trust whoever's at the nickel to do what they need to do. Um, Miles Sanders, I feel like he'll definitely get locked up early. I see Patrick Queen being the spy for Jalen Hurts if he wants to think he want to get upfield and run. Um, and I just feel like this front seven can take that offensive line. I really do. Between JPP, I feel like Dolphy's gonna. I feel like Dolphy will come alive. In the prime time, which he showed previous times before. Justin Metabike, even Broderick Washington, unsung hero of that front seven too. He's been in the game a lot and been making he's been making a lot of noise. Um, Calais Campbell, Justin Houston. I know Justin Houston's been quiet, um, but rest assured, when it comes playoff time, I feel like he'll make his presence known again and get some more sacks to help that defense out. Now, when it comes to the offense, I'll say no. The reason I say no is because of how we are structured. And when I mean by that, the way we dial plays up, we scheme things up. Everybody knows, when Lamar Jackson's healthy, everything runs through Lamar. But at the end of the day, Gregory Roman, he doesn't use that to the ability that he can, because we all know, as if I'm an opposing team, oh yeah, watch out for Lamar. If they're so keen on my quarterback, dial up plays that's going to make them back the hell up and open up the field. So you don't want, so they don't have to always, when they think about Lamar. Okay, cool. Think about Lamar. I'm gonna give it to J.K. Dobbins. I'm gonna give it to Gus Edwards. Hell, I might even give it to Justice Hill if I'm feeling good tonight. Kenyon Drake. You feel like running the ball? Sure, by any means. You know what? All right, Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson also, when he's on the field, he has to see it. He has to see it. He has to have enough time to make those reads and adjustments. When you see them teams blitzing, we gotta throw those slant routes, those 10 and out routes. We gotta make them. You have to make those defenses respect you, because at the end of the day, you are the X factor of this team, and all they're going to do, blitz here, contain there. They always going to think you run with your feet. So you had to win the game with Lamar Jackson's arm in the playoffs. If you win the game with Lamar Jackson's arm in the playoffs and use the running backs effectively, and defense gets you stops, I feel like that this team, this roster can lead us to a Super Bowl. But if Gregory Roman and company do not coach a good game with the mid-tier wide receivers, and the only star outside of Lamar Jackson is Mark Andrews, I don't feel like this offense is strong enough to put up a scoring performance in the playoffs to, get us to a Super Bowl.
I think that's fair. And I think, my philosophy is this. I truly believe defense can win championships in the NFL. I truly believe offense can win championships in the NFL. Do I think there needs to be balance? Absolutely. But I believe that winning a championship is built on momentum. I believe winning a championship is riding something, whether it's riding a quarterback, whether it's riding a wide receiver or a running back or a defensive standout like the Rams were able to do with Aaron Donald. I think they were also able to ride Cooper Kupp offensively, riding something into the promised land. I think it's necessary because in the NFL, there are stars and there are guys that play like much more than that when the lights shine the brightest. Because you know what happens when lights are shining all at you?
It's
It
all
doesn't look
going
like a
on.
bunch of little stars. It looks like one big light. All right. You need somebody that's able to block that out, somebody that is able to step up and play at an even higher level than everyone else. With the Ravens roster, I think they have that. And I think they have that not in the offensive side of the ball. I think they have that in the defense. And I think when we look back at the Ravens Super Bowl victories, they were able to ride something. 2012, they rode Joe Flacco. 2000, they rode Ray Lewis. And they rode that defense. And that defense said, "You are not going to run on us. I do not care who you are. You may have Eddie George. You may have you could throw out prime Barry Sanders. You could throw out prime Walter Payton. You could throw out prime anybody. We are not going to allow you to run the football." And
Mhm.
that is what they did. I think this Ravens team now is going to go into games and they're going to say, "Hey, first off, you are not going to run the football on us." That is the Ravens' philosophy. I think it always has been. I think that always will be the philosophy. Calais Campbell, I think he was mic'd up and he always says, "Earn the right to rush the passer by stopping the run." So that he's telling that to Adafe. He's telling that to Tyus Bowser. He's saying, "Hey, if you do not set this edge, you do not rush the passer. Go out there and stop the run, then we can tee off on them." All right. So when we play against teams like the Bengals, teams like the Chiefs, teams like the Buffalo Bills, teams like the Miami Dolphins, I think those are the four biggest threats in the AFC. You could throw the Titans in there, five teams.
Yeah,
You stop the run first. Even if the Bills don't run the ball a lot. But if you can stop the run, you make them one dimensional.
they do run the ball a lot. Josh Allen, stop the hell out of Josh Allen in his run
Yes.
and force him to win. And force him to beat you with his arm. Force him to beat you with his arm.
And I think a lot of people may be saying, like, well, yeah, if you can stop the run, it does make them one dimensional. But one dimensional is not just about saying, okay, now you just have to stop the pass. It puts a fear in their hearts of, hey, we don't want to run the ball in this situation. It's 3rd and 3. Normally, you may run the ball. Like the Titans running the ball in 3rd and 3. They're like, yeah. In the playoffs last year against Cincinnati Bengals, the Bengals were stopping Derrick Henry pretty well. They got into 4th and 1 situations. They got into 4th-and-2s, 3rd-and-3s, and they were throwing the ball and it wasn't working. But they were terrified of running the football. That's how the Bengals were able to get to the Super Bowl. They stopped the run and they were able to put up points on the offense, and they rode the offense. That's how they were able to do it. But this Ravens team, I think their defense can carry them and absolutely win them a Super Bowl as long as the offense isn't turning the ball over. And, the question it was phrased this, I had to make sure I had the right terminology. Is the Ravens roster good enough to win a Super Bowl? And I think absolutely. The question is Greg Roman, is John Harbaugh good enough to win the Super Bowl this season? And
Mm.
I don't think Greg Roman is going to carry us to a Super Bowl. I think if the Ravens win the Super Bowl, it's in spite of Greg Roman, because all we need out of this offense, this is all we need: control the clock and don't turn the ball over. And this Ravens team will win games. Because if you control the clock, Justin Tucker's going to get field goals.
Yeah.
And if you're not turning the ball over, the opponents are starting their drives at the 20-yard line, and they are having to move all the way across in the Ravens defense. This Ravens defense does not allow very many touchdowns. They do not allow very many touchdowns.
We have
They
been
allow some field goals,
mm-hmm.
but they don't allow touchdowns. And if you're getting into a field goal battle in the history of the NFL, there's no kicker you want on your side more than you want Justin Tucker in a field goal battle. And they could put any team into a field goal battle. They made the Buffalo Bills take field goals. They made the Miami Dolphins, have to go out there. And the Miami Dolphins were turning the ball over. And the Ravens defense, this is a different team than we saw in week 3.
Yeah.
This is a different team than we saw in week 1.
Yeah.
This is a team that's added Roquan Smith, a team that's gotten back Tyus Bowser.
Exactly.
Travis Jones. Marcus Williams has returned from injury, and he looks great.
Yeah.
Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters are no longer in their first games back, recovering from season-ending injuries they sustained last season.
Mm-hmm.
This is a different defense, and they're not perfect. They struggled against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but at the same time, like most of that game, they played very well. And I think this team is hungry, and I think this defense is hungry, and I think this defense does have the ability to carry them to the Super Bowl. Do I think they're the favorites? No. Do I think it's guaranteed that they win the Super Bowl and win the division and just dominate everybody? No, there's going to be controversy. There's going to be adversity. But if you look at the Super Bowl winners, you look at the NBA, the MLB, all of these teams in pro sports across the world, you can look at the World Cup right now.
Shout out to Messi in Argentina.
Shout out to Messi in Argentina. They got the big W today. Shout out to them, beating Croatia 3-0. How do you win in those big tournaments? You win on momentum.
Yeah.
Because I think there's the best team in the world going into the World Cup. They had won back-to-back Olympics. Brazil gets knocked out. Why? They didn't have momentum. They just weren't able to generate it themselves. They kind of fell flat. Croatia was able to beat them in PKs. You look at baseball. Last 2 World Series champions. The Houston Astros were unbelievably hot in the postseason. I think they lost like 1 game going into the World Series.
Yeah.
My Atlanta Braves, the year before that, they were like a wild card team, and then they came in and they just got super hot and they beat everybody. You'll look at the NBA and you see the Golden State Warriors, and nobody gets hotter than Steph Curry. And he went out there, he got super hot, and they were able to beat the Boston Celtics. The year before that, it was the Milwaukee Bucks led behind Giannis, and they got hot. Yeah, sometimes it's the number 1 seed that's able to win. But that number 1 seed still needs to get hot. You look at the Ravens Super Bowl victories. Were they the number 1 seed with a bye in either of them? No. They were a wild card in 2000s, I believe. Yeah. And then they were, I think they were the 4 seed or the 3 seed when they won the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, because I think it was Broncos were the 1 and then the Patriots were the 2, or those might have been flip-flop. But we played the Colts, who were the best wild card team in the first round. We beat them. Shout out to Andrew Luck. Got the jersey behind me. It's right behind this chair. Y'all can't see it, but you need momentum. This defense can build momentum. The offense, I don't see him building momentum. There's no momentum in this offense. Greg Roman is the opposite of momentum. He is sludge. He is glue. He is some viscous material like syrup, or like you're trying to roll the ball and it just sticks to it. He does not allow you to get momentum.
He's like tar.
It's like a mousetrap. Like he's like, nope. He is a ball and chain. All right. That is Greg Roman.
So, okay. I love the way you brought that up. So who is that guy we ride that wave on when it comes to this defensive team?
I think we go out there, and I think it has to be Roquan Smith.
I was thinking the same thing too. And people going to be like, well, damn, he just got here. You're right. Damn, he did just got here.
That's all we got him.
And look at the damn impact he's been making since he got here. He hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah. I think with being able to stop the mobile quarterbacks like Mahomes and Allen, stopping the run and Mixon and Derrick Henry, and maybe Super Bowl matchups of Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts, or maybe it's Christian McCaffrey or whatever guy.
Yeah.
We're going to need that to start in the middle. And it could be Marlon. It could be a guy like Marlon Humphrey, but cornerback is too tough to rely on game in, game out. It's all dependent on matchups. Marlon's very good against certain players. He's great against Diggs. He's great against Juju. He's great against He's great against most players. Not great against George Pickens. That's one of those guys. He's got to work on it. But we saw. Remember last year, Jamar Chase game against Marlon. It was like, oh my gosh, he owns Marlon. What happened this year when Jamar Chase played against the Baltimore Ravens? Oh, Marlon Humphrey went out there and locked him up because he studied the film and he was like, okay, yeah, that happened to me. I respect that. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna improve and I'm gonna beat you the next time. One player that Marlon does struggle with still is AJ Brown. Actually, I think Marcus Peters actually, for some reason, Marcus Peters, the least physical guy out there, that dude clamps AJ Brown. I don't know how. It's like AJ Brown always dominates Marlon. He's just like mossing him over and over again. And then like you throw Marcus Peters on them and he just starts talking trash. And AJ Brown's like, bro, what are you doing? And Marcus Peters goes out there like a pit bull, barking, or not a pit bull. He goes out there like a bulldog barking at a pit bull. And the pit bull's like, yo, what are you doing? And then he starts clamping him. And you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And he's able to get interceptions, or at least he did when he was on the Titans. I think we can ride the secondary, but it starts with Roquan Smith and being able to establish the run stopping, being able to stop the third and shorts, the quick passes to the tight ends, the runs, the quarterback runs. That starts with Roquan. I think he's the guy we have to ride, just like we rode Ray Lewis.
Yep.
Twice. I mean, that's what we rode on defense. Ray Lewis.
And he had a hell of an entourage every ride too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got our Marcus Peters, we got our Marcus Williams, we have our Kyle Hamilton, our Marlon Humphreys, our pass rush, Justin Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, if Justin Houston gets hot in the playoffs, oh my goodness, maybe we win every game by 30.
And that's my whole thing. Like, I think, when it comes to that front seven, I actually have Justin Houston and Adafio Way showing something that he hasn't been showing all year, because Adafio Way has been non-existent. Like how? I know everybody's like, he's a bust. Yeah, I was on that train too. But for some reason in primetime games, Adafio has always came clutch. And I feel like, into the playoffs, he's going to be one of those guys on that front seven. It's going to be the one that really stands out and really shows people like, hey, yo, I'm still here. I'm still a first-round pick. I got 3 more years on this contract. I'm going to make something happen. So I definitely feel like, he's going to be one of those guys, when we're in the playoffs that, makes his presence known.
Yeah, I think it's all going to be established. And, every game there's going to be different heroes. It's not going to like every game is going to be like, wow, Roquan Smith once again carries. But it's going to be like, okay, yeah, maybe this was a big Marlon game. Maybe Marcus Peters had a pick. Maybe Chuck Clark played well. I don't know. It's a little unlikely. But maybe a guy like Adafe plays well. He has that primetime moment against the Chiefs. Whatever it is, guys will step up, but it starts with Roquan. It starts with this Ravens defense. And I think this roster is good enough to win. But Joshua, do you have anything else you think we should talk about, before this upcoming Saturday against the Cleveland Browns?
Nah, man, we can catch up with the rest of the family on live before the game. I'm good.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. Make sure to leave a review on the podcast. We will see all of you again next time.